me the F word from stages. He's down by as much as 17% in the polls. Jamal Bowman, congressman. When you address congressmen in Congress, it says on their nameplate, the Honorable. It says on his letterhead, the Honorable Jamal Bowman. Wait, didn't we just talk about the Hunger Games? The performance? And convincing the people to be madly in love? That it's all very, very normal that a guy like Jamal Bowman is a United States congressman? Next soundbite is today's Tower Babbling. MSNBC's Simone Sanders scolds her guests and colleagues to be sensitive to the family of a 12-year-old girl who was raped and murdered, and making sure that the 10 illegal immigrant suspects lost their driver's licenses. What do you tell the parents of those people, those young girls who were killed? This is the preponderance of these people.
What is the difference between an illegal immigrant who unfortunately engages in that activity?
We don't like that. I want to be clear. We don't use the term illegal. Undocumented individuals.
By the way, the voice of the gentleman from the Heritage Foundation overrun there. He says, that's sweet, they're illegal immigrants. They didn't lose their documents. They're not undocumented immigrants. They're illegal immigrants. And in each of these cases, they were caught, released. Wait a minute, didn't we just talk about the Capitol and the Hunger Games? And the districts being set to war against one another? And the fact that in the movie, hey, if you're at the Capitol, you can do anything you want, like capture teenagers and make them fight each other to the death. But if you're in the districts and you challenge the Capitol, you could bring the whole system down with just a few berries. Last up in today's Tower Babbling, this is a book aimed, well, and I want to warn people, there's no bad language here, but adults are going to get this in ways that kids won't. If there's kids listening, please be, you know your kids, you know what to do here. This book is aimed at 5-year-old kids.
My parents are swingers, just like me, and tonight they're planning a swinger party. It starts with a contract and a bowl full of keys. Everyone looking for unicorns. Yes, please. They watch a few movies, give boons to the boys. Everyone sleeps over and makes lots of noise. Every night I pray to have a swinger party for my birthday.
Aimed at 5-year-olds. The effort to sexualize children is about as ungodly as it gets, and is simply a return. The same demons that led to these abuses in biblical times are simply back to doing the same thing here. We have the advantage. We did then, we do now with Jesus. And also this, you heard that because of AFR. Your monthly support allows us to make sure other people hear what the enemy is trying to do to children and gives us the opportunity to pray together that they would be protected. And that's a wrap for today's Tower of Babbling.
That was the Tower of Babbling.
Whoa! That is news.
On A Disciple's View.
In my continuing effort to get ready for SEALFIT, which seemed so far away when I signed up for it, now seems so close. This is a tiny little vision or version of Hell Week I'm going to go through, put myself through in California at the end of September. In my continuing effort to do that, I did a benchmark test this weekend. It's a version of the iconic CrossFit workout called Murph, or the Murph. It's this: you run a mile, and then you do 100 pull-ups, and then 200 push-ups, and then 300 air squats, and then you run a mile. The change here was this: I had to wear effectively combat boots, although a newer, better version of them, easier to run in. And I had to wear utility pants, thick, unforgiving pants that are heavy and that store all sorts of heat, a full shirt, and a 30-pound weight vest. Now, to do this is one thing. To do it vested like this is another. To do it then on an air runner, which to me is better at approximating sand because running on the street is easier. And I don't have sand to run in next to the gym. I did this not in the time I wanted. It took me just a little over an hour. And I was absolutely tapped at the end, soaked, exhausted. In fact, I would go home and sleep for 2 hours. But when I got done and was cleaning up, my dear friend's little boy, Benson, was there. So I just said to Benson, "There's no dinosaurs here, are there?" He loves to chase me as a dinosaur, and he did. And for about 10 minutes, I forgot I was physically dead because of the face of joy, a child. Remember, the Lord Jesus said we need to be like little children in relation to Him. In the beginning was the Word was with God, until God decides you and I can speak once again to one another. May His peace that transcends all understanding rest upon you and your families. On behalf of Randy and FR, I'm Todd Herman. This has been a Disciples View.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
90.5 KTXG Greenville, Dallas.
To biblically sound organizations. So as a federal or state employee, why not choose the American Family Association Combined Federal Campaign Designation 12037? Of the organizations on the CFC list, AFA is one of the few standing for you and your family. By choosing 12037, you help make it possible for us to continue.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. Federal prosecutors and lawyers for former U.S. President Donald Trump are back in a courtroom today in Florida. Evan Brown reports.
Pre-trial motions continue to be argued before a federal judge in the Mar-a-Lago documents case involving former President Donald Trump. Federal prosecutors want the judge to impose a gag order on the former president, saying he's been disparaging FBI agents ever since it was learned agents raiding the president's Palm Beach home were authorized to use deadly force, which the FBI says is standard language for all search warrants. The former president is hoping the judge will disqualify Special Prosecutor Jack Smith over his appointment by the U.S. Attorney General and not Congress. The trial itself is indefinitely postponed. In Broward County, Florida, Evan Brown, Fox News.
President Biden and former President Trump are facing off for the first presidential debate of the 2024 election cycle on Thursday. Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett says he expects the economy to be the top issue discussed on the debate stage, and that he believes Trump has a better understanding of this issue than Biden.
That's where it's at, and President Trump understands that, and Joe Biden does not understand that.
The debate takes place at CNN headquarters in Atlanta, with a full simulcast on Fox News Channel. Northwestern Iowa has been hit with unprecedented flooding. Max Gordon has more on the situation in Rock Valley, Iowa.
The good news is that the floodwaters are starting to go down after this levee broke. Governor Kim Reynolds declaring states of emergency in 21 different counties here in Iowa. Again, many evacuations, many people forced from their homes. There's just been an immense amount of rainfall here in the upper Midwest. Some rain gauges and radar estimates showed parts of Minnesota, Iowa, and South Dakota picking up between 8 to get this 18 inches of rain in some spots over the weekend. The ground here has already been just so saturated, and there's been nowhere for all this water to go. Rivers have become swollen, several of them reaching all-time high crests. River basins in Iowa and southeastern South Dakota are seeing the worst of it.
A national defense analyst says Congress must act to prevent women from being subject to selective service. Chad Groening has more.
The House has passed an updated version of the National Defense Authorization Bill, which allows the U.S. government to automatically register men between the ages of 18 and 25 into the Selective Service System. The House version of the bill does not include drafting women. But the Democrat-controlled Senate wants to extend draft eligibility to women. It's put that amendment in its version of the NDAA. The two bills will then need to be worked out by the Senate and the House Conference Committee for a final version of the bill. Bob McGinnis is a senior fellow for national security at the Allen Research Council and author of the 2013 book Deadly Consequences: Why Cowards Are Pushing Women into Combat, which which dealt with this problematic issue.
We could come to the point where we can't fill the volunteer ranks with sufficient number of people to defend our national interest at home and abroad. Now, that is something I think we're close to right now.
So McGinnis believes Congress must act.
I do believe that if Congress doesn't act to put in a restriction on who can serve in certain positions, then the Supreme Court, when asked, is going to be compelled to make that decision, and that is that, yes, women would have to be conscripted like young men at age 18, or at least subject to it. Otherwise, I don't see the alternative.
I'm Chad Groening.
Prospective homebuyers are facing the most expensive housing market in at least 3 decades, but it's not stopping some from getting out there and buying a home as quickly as possible. Jeff Flock has more from Cranberry, New Jersey.
This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. Went on the market over the weekend. Well, it's off the market. $575,000 is the asking price. A lot of houses these days go for over asking. Why? Well, people with money are buying them. Median home sale right now, existing home, $419,000. It's never been higher in history. That's up about 6% over last year as well. There's not a lot of inventory out there. Now, if you look at the inventory numbers, actually they've grown a little bit, but the agents tell us those are homes that are not desirable in a good neighborhood. They may not be in great shape, and people with money are coming in and, over asking on this. It's making folks at the lower end very difficult to get in.
For American Family News, I'm Rusty P.
Hey man, what are you doing?
I'm just lying here relaxing in a stream. I call it streaming.
Okay, you know that word already has another meaning, right?
AFA Streaming offers free and subscription video content. Titles like By Design, The God Who Speaks, and Asbury Revival, Desperate for More. You'll also find video versions of AFR programs. Visit afa.net and click on Streaming.
Religious freedom is about people of faith being able to live out their faith, live out their convictions, no matter where they are.
We equip. Sacred honor is the courage to speak truth, to live out your free speech.
We also rejoice in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope.
This is At the Core on American Family Radio.
Welcome to At the Core with Walker Wildman and Rick Green. I'm Rick Green, America's Constitution coach, with you normally on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but filling in for Walker today, who normally has Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then once in a while we surprise you and both of us do the program together. So thanks for being a part of the program. Thanks for being a person of action. I know you're not just listening. You're not just sitting around on your couch eating, potato chips and listening to the program and not ever do anything, right? Right. All right. You're out there taking action. You're doing a Constitution class there in your living room, which you can serve potato chips at and still sit on the couch. So, look, there's a twofer right there. You can get 2 things accomplished, 3, whatever I just mentioned. Anyway, make sure you're doing something. Hosting Constitution classes, doing voter registration drives at your churches, telling people about what's going on in the world and waking them up to the situation that we're faced with, which is not dire from the standpoint of nothing we can do. It's not dire from the standpoint of we have to give up and say, oh, well, it's just too big. The giants are too big in the land. The cities are too fortified. Going to be like those 10 spies that depressed the people. No, we're not going to be like that. I mean, despite the fact that you've got the World Economic Forum and the World Health Organization and all these international groups that do have a conspiracy. They do want to conquer the world. They do want to control your life. But that's nothing new under the sun, folks. It's always been that way. I was thinking just the other day about actually reading the verse in, I think it's Isaiah, don't call everything conspiracy that they call conspiracy. It doesn't say that there aren't any conspiracies. It doesn't say don't call some things conspiracy. It says don't call everything a conspiracy that they say is a conspiracy. I think we're leaning more towards kind of the middle, like not where there aren't any conspiracies and not where everything's a conspiracy, but somewhere in the middle, there's no doubt there's a lot of people that would love to get that one world government, love to get that domination of your life and tell you how to do everything in your life, including now eating bugs. Yep, they want you to eat bugs, no more steak,
In fact, I'm trying to eat steak 3 times a day to make up for all those fools out there that no longer eat steak. Seriously, I mean, it's crazy. People are buying into this. They're actually thinking that the cows are the problem, and that the cow passing gas is now the end of the world. My buddy Brad Stein, they call him God's Comic. He's a hilarious Christian comic that we do this thing called Comedy and Constitution together. And we were in where were we? Went to Florida first. Did a Comedy and Constitution in Florida, and then we were doing one in Dallas and down in Fredericksburg. And he had this new bit that I had not heard before, where he basically says the Earth has met its match with cows passing gas. That's not the way he says it, but it's funny. Anyway.